everyone. Welcome. Sorry I was a little bit late today trying to get everything set up, but I should have everything. So welcome to the second week of feedback. So today we got a few people, and we'll also possibly have time for more feedback afterwards because I don't have too many to go through. So if you have feedback, please send a link either on the Discord or I'll try to keep an eye on the chat. Make sure it's a Sync Sketch link and not a link to any online mentorship campus that I can't have access to or I can't show on stream. So let me go ahead and just screen share. Cool. It's John. Hi, John. Okay, so cool. So first we have AJ. And AJ said that you just want, hopefully AJ's here. I should probably check that first. Yes, cool. So basically, oh, I need to find my pen. So AJ wanted feedback on kind of what shot he should go for next, just kind of overall view on his reel. And as long as I start recording, I can remember this, that if AJ's not here, maybe he can watch this later. But basically what I was thinking, looking through your reel, I saw that you already got notes from Sean Lee last night, so I don't want to give you too many notes because I agree with everything that he was saying, and makes no sense for me to go over it because John's the master at notes. So yeah, I think like what you have is good. You have a really good sense of movement, and oh hello, yes, you're here. You have a really good sense of movement, really good mechanics. The only thing I would say that like your shot is missing, or your reel is missing right now, is I would definitely say that I would do another single character dialogue shot. Because the thing that I think you can improve on is facial posing. Like, I like the way that you're pushing some of these Apollo. Like, where was it? There was one specifically like this, his mouth shapes here.
Open up!
I like where you're going with it. I just think they could use a little bit more refining. Like, for instance, stuff like this. I love the idea of the shape, right? But just trying to, like, figure out ways to simplify it and, like, make it more graphic, right? Like, maybe bringing that mouth corner in a little bit. Or little things like here, maybe trying to sculpt that brow in so it's not as out. You know, trying to cheat that corner. Maybe trying to get this nose out a little bit more. Just things like that. Mainly I see it, though, in mouth shapes. So that's something that I would say, like I know you had talked about in before about possibly doing like a pantomime shot with that panda rig, the robot. I think that would be cool, like in your off time if you wanted to do that, but I don't think you need any more, as your reel is right now, I don't think that you need another shot that's a pantomime or body mechanics kind of based. I think you could really benefit from another dialogue shot. Let me just kind of like watch through, I'll go ahead and watch through the whole reel, that way everyone can see. And we can just kind of, I'll point things out as I see them.
Made you special breakfast.
You can't cook.
Hey, Mary, open up.
You look beautiful.
I look like a Disney character.
I really like here when she says, I look like a Disney character. I like that you have like that underbite of the jaw coming out. That's really fun. I don't see a lot of people using, like, especially in student work, like using that like back and forth of the jaw to really get a character, a specific mouth shape. It's really fun.
It's a Disney character.
Like that's super fun. I like that. And yeah, I agree with Sean's note here. Try to make the pupils bigger if you can. Or even just stuff like this, just in terms of like general appeal. One thing here, like watch out for hand poses like this. You want to try to avoid a claw at any point if you can grip the fingers or make it so that way this thumb is tucked under. You know, this thumb is tucked under here. And then we just see these fingers clumped. That drawing made no sense. But basically, like, just making sure of like appeal and trying to keep things as clean as possible, right? So maybe it's more like that. So if that makes sense, like this is the fingers and then the thumb is under there. So just trying to get simpler shapes or things like this. I think this is mainly a rig thing with the Kayla rig, but like that nose scrunch is super like unflattering. Of having like all that, which I love the scrunch you're going for in her face, but just you gotta watch out for stuff like that. But I think that's a rig issue and not specifically a thing that's easy to sculpt out. So like here when she says eye, like it'd be nice to have a little bit more movement in like the eye mask and like her eyebrows. Like I look like it's that way you just have a little bit of a change. She's not going into like a happy expression, but just, you know, moving those eyebrows up a bit. Having them come up a bit more. Maybe even flaring the eyes just a bit. You know, maybe getting like some white. Just little things like that that will help really liven up like your performance. Like I love this mouth shape. It's really nice. I might even try to cut into this a little bit more. Like to get that in so it's just a little more cut out. I think I see the tongue. It's always hard to tell, like especially when a shot's not, you know, rendered or it's kind of dark. Like make sure that when she says I look, like she really pops that L. Make sure that you're getting that tongue out. Like here, I think I see it back there, but one thing that could be useful, I always recommend, like if you're just play blasting your shots, is to make the mouth bag black inside. Like take all the faces of the mouth bag inside and make them like a Lambert black. And then have the tongue a little bit more red. That way you can just kind of see that and feel it more. Because if it was rendered, usually that would catch the light, the tongue coming out. But if it's not rendered, if it's just a play blast, just have to make sure of that. Because like here, I hear like the L, you know. And then here it'd be coming out because you're starting to hear that which again, like this is a really fun shape. Maybe like cut that in a little bit. Something close off that side. So just little tweaks. So that's why I'm saying that like a dialogue shot I think would be awesome for you to do, because it would just give you a chance to practice some better facial posing and like just tweaking it so that way you really finesse the facial poses, because you're there, like the base is really good and I like the ideas of where you're going with it. So here like the tongue would be coming down, right? You would just see the tip kind of like curled up still a little bit and it's about to hit down. And like watch out here, I can see those teeth, those bottom teeth moving up into frame. I might avoid showing those bottom teeth until you get like even just a little bit less. So just stuff like this, like appeal things. Like I like the idea of her having, you know, right, those teeth coming out, kind of like being a character trait. But just watch out for when you do it.
Look like a Disney character.
I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying you don't gotta think on your feet. Bend a few rules, maybe. But it's worth it.
Yeah, I like this shot too, or this facial pose. Again, like one thing just to keep in mind, like these are just kind of general notes I'm giving you about the face to like keep in mind for your next shot. If you're gonna do, especially like a dialogue shot with like one character, really focusing on facial posing. Just shaping the eyes a little bit more, right? Having something, you know, rounding out this corner. This one's good, I think. I like this shape to the eye. Maybe I would lower this bottom lid just a little bit more. But just trying to get like a little bit more appealing shapes. Or with these brows, like I like where you're at here, but I drop this. Just little things. You know, try to get that outer. I know the shaman's hard to get those outer brows down. You have to do a lot of tweaking and cheating, but it can be done. You know, so maybe something kind of the same here, but just a little cleaner. And the shot, I love the shot. It's really nice. Really good motion.
No.
And so you can have some like really fun facial, like I love this. This mouth is awesome. Woo. I love that. The only thing I would say, like for your next shot, whatever you end up doing, try to use another rig other than Kayla. Like, I know you have her twice, you know, on here. And Kayla's a really difficult rig. You can do it, and like you have gotten it in a lot of different places, especially in this shot of appeal with Kayla, but she's a really difficult rig. You have to sculpt the appeal in, and like she does not look good at default, and not even, it's just a lot. So I would suggest maybe using some other rig or like something else, or if you're going into class, I mean, you're in class 5, right, at AM, so maybe using Aya even on something, or something that's a little bit easier to get some more appealing mouth shape, stuff like that.
No.
The shot 2, which is good, again, like more mechanics, which is good.
I know who I am.
I love that.
Laying the dude disguised as another dude. What?
Yeah. So I think that would honestly be my main notes for you, is just like, for the next shot, do something that's dialogue. Do it with, you know, one person. Don't do it with 2, because that's, you know, a lot. So it's always easier to really focus. And I would just make your focus of your next shot be facial performance and acting and facial posing. And like even think of like specific posing you want to hit. Maybe you want to do a sad shot where you're having to do lots of like subtle stuff in the face, or because, you know, the shots that you have so far are relatively broad. You know, lots of emotions, or so maybe you want to do maybe a more subtle shot. That could be fun for a dialogue. Something that's closer in, a little more understated, something that you really have to focus on, like that facial performance to sell it. That could be a cool exercise, and I think something that your reel is missing. So that would be my suggestion so far.
Made you special breakfast.
You can't cook.
Hey, Mary.
Yeah, because like even when I'm looking through this, like your movement's really good, and the mechanics, body mechanics, all feels super solid to me. So I know you were saying like you wanted to do that shot with the robot, which I think in your free time, like go for it. But if you want something that your reel is lacking as of right now, I would definitely try to do a dialogue shot. And overall, I would say like one note that I did notice is make sure that you're, for facial posing, make sure you're moving these crease controls. They can make or break eye poses sometimes, especially on like Apollo, right? Like really shaping them to get whatever feeling you want. And as a general rule, what I like to do with the eye creases is kind of mimic what the brows are doing, right? Either mimicking, depends on the pose, but either mimicking, you know, what the brows are doing. If they're doing this, I try to get that same feeling, right, in the creases. Or sometimes if I'm doing a really pushed eye expression, I try to mimic it in the eye too. So yeah, I think that would be kind of my main notes for you in terms of like where to go next with your shot, with your reel, I mean, in terms of what shot to do and what to think about your reel as a whole. So yeah, awesome work. And if you have any questions or anything, feel free to put them in the chat. Or even here, now I'm getting distracted, but like even here, this would be, I like this idea of this shape, but like push it. I think that would be really cool. Like, you know, push this even a little bit more and then cut into this shape here, right? So just like pushing things, I think would really be cool to see on your reel of like a dialogue shot with really pushed facial expressions and taking what you have and just refining them. I was thinking of doing a dialogue shot where when I start 806, but I'm not sure if it should be 2 characters or 1. Yeah, that kind of depends. Because you already have this first shot with the 2 characters, right? And it's pretty long. Yeah, and it's a lot of cuts, and I think this is good. I would keep this on your reel. It's nice. You're showing interaction between characters. I would definitely say for your next shot, you could do 2 characters, but you might be better served doing 1 dialogue. Because 2 things. 1, class 6 is a lot, and like you spend a lot of time just polishing your reel for a bit. Older shots, so you'll go back with these shots, you know, and start polishing. And then you go, I think it's like week 4 of the term. You go in and you start a new shot and start filming reference, ideas, blocking, all that. So you don't have that much time to finish a new shot in class 6. So the simpler the better. I say that, and I did like a 20-second shot with lots of mechanics for my class 6 shot, but it was 1 character, and it'll be just nice because I think a cool thing too is if you're taking with Sean Sexton, which I hope you are, for Class 6, he gives really good facial notes. So that would be a really cool thing to take advantage of if you do a dialogue shot with one character. That way you're not worried about, oh, you have to get like both characters' mechanics into blocking and worry about two things. Because basically, if you add a character, you double your shot time, right? So if you have a 200 frame shot and you have one character, it's a 200 frame shot. But if you have a 200 frame shot and you have two characters, you immediately have a 400 plus frame shot. So the more characters you add, it's a general rule of thumb, just double your shot time. So you could have an easier time in Anno 6 with just focusing on one character and really focusing on facial posing. I think that would be a good thing for you in your reel. Yeah, like Sin was saying, like focus on getting polished. Getting those notes. Like even with me, like I had one character, it was a longer shot, but I did not get to full polish by the end of Class 6. And I ended up fully polishing my Class 6 shot with one character, I think 5 months later on my own time, by getting notes from another animator. So that's something to keep in mind is time goes fast in Class 6, and you definitely want to get as much polish as you can in Class 6. Yeah. And that does happen. You end up in blocking sometimes in Class 6. Like, I think my last week of Class 6, I had just finished splining, like, my entire shot. Like, I had one last chunk, and I finished splining, so I did not get the polish notes and the polish goodness that Class 6 usually offers because it's called Polish and Portfolio, right? So, yeah, exactly what Daniel's saying. Like a good one character shot can be any okay or decent 2 character long. Yeah, go for quality, not quantity, right? Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Yep, just got to apply it. Exactly. So focus on polish, because that is something that I definitely don't regret, but wish I had done a little bit differently in AM, especially for Class 6, as I spent so much time in blocking, because also my idea wasn't really solidified, and I was just dealing with a lot of reblocking things, and sometimes not even notes from my mentor, just I was like, oh, this looks terrible, I need to reblock it, and I would stress delete like a huge chunk of my animation and redo it for mechanics, and I didn't get to that face polishing, and I never really learned how to do that until I was out of school and working. So if you can, the earlier you can learn how to polish the face and really add that 10% to your shot, that last 10% is like the better you're gonna do in the long run. Yeah, exactly what Sen's saying too. You only get 6 weeks of animation on your shot in Class 6. And yeah, I think the first week, for me, like the way, if you're taking with Sean Sexton, I'm not sure who you have for Class 6, but I'll use Sean as an example because I have seen a couple mentors do it the same way. If you're taking Class 6, usually what they'll do is your first 2 weeks that you're working on your new shot, you're actually doing reference and maybe a layout pass. Like Sean, the first week that you do with him is reference. You show him 3 different ideas with reference, and then the next week you take whatever idea you liked and he liked that he bought off on, and you take that and you shoot 3 different versions of reference for that shot, and then you give a layout pass, like not even a blocking, like just strictly character, one pose, you know, floating around the screen and from the layout control. So keep that in mind when you're going forward, as you don't really have a lot of time after that. So after that you have 4 weeks to get it done. So yeah, I'm just kind of reading the chat here. Let's see. Awesome. Yeah, it'll be good. I can't wait to see what you do, AJ. I'm excited to see your next stuff. Your work is really good, and I can't wait to see how much you've already progressed just so much. I remember when you first started AM, seeing your stuff now, like I can't wait to see what you do in Class 6. It'll be cool. Shiri, yes, let's see. I would like to know about Kyosho. I'm considering taking a Kyosho class. Do you recommend it? Can you tell a bit about what's happening there? Yes, I 100% recommend Kyosho. It's awesome. I finished AM last September, and I took Kyosho in October because I felt like, you know, with Class 6, kind of what we were just talking about, I didn't have time to polish. I didn't feel like I had that last 10% of what would get me to feature quality shots in my reel, because I just did not have, I lacked knowing how to polish, kind of. So, yeah, so Kyosho, kind of the way it works is they work in 3-month terms, like Animation Mentor does, and you meet twice a week with a mentor. So right now, I think it's Sean Lee, Marcus Hammerstedt, and Daniel Klug are all mentors there. And they all, and Alex Snow is there too. And they all have seats open, I think, as of right now, but you can check their website. And they meet twice a week, and the class generally lasts like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And yeah, it is a live class. So they do record it, though, the whole thing, in case you can't make it. And kind of the way that Kyosho works is you will go and you have your mentor, it all goes on Discord. You have feedback, you'll post your Sing Sketch link for what you have for that day. You can show twice a week if you want to, or you can just show once, or you can show nothing at all. It really depends on you and your schedule. I definitely posted every time for me, because also there wasn't a lot of people posting stuff in our class that I was in with Amanda Zima, animator at Disney, and so I was posting a lot to get as much feedback as I can, but it's kind of a cool way to do it, because unlike AM where you're getting graded, and if you don't submit post, you get in trouble for it, etc., etc. Kyosho's a little bit more for like the working animator in terms of you're not required to post anything. It's very flexible. It's basically you put in how much you want to get out of it, which is a really cool thing about Kyosho. And if no one has critiques, or if your mentor feels like going a little bit over, they'll do demos. You can request things. I know with my class, we were like, hey, we really struggle with blinks. So our mentor Amanda, she's like, cool, I'll do blinks one night. And we all animated along with her too. Like, let's all animate a blink. So that was a really cool kind of animate with me live thing that she did. So it just depends mentor to mentor. They all kind of structure their classes a little bit differently. But yeah, it's a live class and I would definitely recommend it. Yeah, it's great, especially if you're wanting to work on something specific, because you tell your mentor kind of at the beginning of the term, like, hey, this is really what I want to get out of the term. This time, what I want to get out of the class, and they'll help tailor feedback of that to you and all that. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. And let's see, you posted on stuff on Discord from Sing Sketch. Cool, I will look at it here in a minute. Cool. Nice. Yes, I see it. I will put that next. Let's see, so the next shot that we have, let me make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, cool. Here we go. Make sure I'm reloading. Cool. So let's watch. Let me just real quick check your notes and make sure I know what you were saying. Okay, splining jewels. Fun. You're in spline fun time. Okay. Okay, cool. Sorry. Alright, Shari, so let me take a look. Hopefully Shari's here. And yes, there are still feedback openings. I'm open to feedback if you want on the Discord and the feedback channel. You can post a Sing Sketch link there if you'd like. And if I have time, I'll get to it. I see that people are starting to post a lot. But so far, we only have a couple more to go. So feel free to post up there.
Holy cow, this is your room? What's that smell? Musky.
Nice. This is looking really good.
Holy cow, this is your room? What's that smell? Musky.
Nice. Okay. I know you said that you're in that stage right now between splines and blocking, so 100% I will ignore any pops or clicks. I'll just kind of point out things as I see it. One thing here, this might be like a pop due to, if I say something you're like, oh, that's a pop, I know it's there, like disregard the note. I'll try to keep them brief. But here, like, watch out. I can imagine this is a pop from like a constraint being turned off or something, but just watch out here, that pop from, he's going forward and then he goes back and then he goes forward again. So just watch out for that spacing. Watch out for, I'm not sure, I think the rotation's actually in the neck. On Jules here, I'm looking at. Also, you guys let me know if you can't hear me at any point. My microphone is way over here and I can't move it, and I just realized I'm speaking this way, so the audio is probably not great, so I apologize. If it gets too bad, someone at me in the chat and I'll try to make sure, see if I can fix it. But like, I'm just kind of watching the neck rotation, like an X specifically. Okay, cool, thank you, son. See how like his neck's kind of, it's coming down, right? I think you could even drag it more, honestly. The neck and the head, you know, kind of at this point. Because he's coming down like, vroom, it'd be really nice to get that feeling of everything broken up. And, you know, obviously you don't want him swimmy, because she also is like putting him down. You don't want him to be like, you know, a sack of flour going like back and forth, lots of overlap. But I think it would be nice to break this up a little bit. Because right now it kind of feels like you start to drag the head like here, which is nice. I like that. But it's almost like it drags almost for one frame, like it tilts back and rotate X and then kind of stays there as just the body moves it down. Like it feels locked. So I would just be careful of that. And maybe play around with, it's going to be a little bit experimental because it might be too much, but just try to play around with them. Can I just delete this? There we go. Dragging that head back. This is going to be too much, what I drew. But, you know, maybe even getting just a little tiny reversal on this chest. Like, just kind of breaking up, like, boom, 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 if that makes sense. Because right now it just kind of all feels locked, so. And then I'm also watching, like, the neck here. The neck feels like it's locked, 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 locked. And then on 67, it, like, pops forward and rotate X. So just watch out for that. And the drag on the head, if you end up adding that, it will kind of help it, because it'll be, like, down, and then he can kind of go down and rebound with that neck and the head. I'd also watch out for the rotate Y in his body as a whole, because like he gets down here, right? He's going rotate Y, and he hits a wall. Like I'm watching specifically this shoulder here, right? So far, you like if I'm just thinking about if there was a ball tacked to that sleeve, that seam, right now it'd be nice if he did that. But right now he's going here, boom, and he just like hits a wall, and then there's lots of frames that just like stick there. So you can do kind of a combo of like how I'd fix it is slow down this rotation, right? Because I can kind of see like this elbow, or not elbow, anatomy, this shoulder kind of gets out to here in 2 frames and then just sticks there. And then he's like stuck in that rotate Y of the chest. So maybe delay that a little bit, right? So this will kind of help the popping in both ways. Like, you know, maybe the shoulder is actually, do a different color. Maybe it's still kind of like here. And then you get to here. So that way you're giving it like 4 more frames overall to kind of get that rotate Y of the chest in there. And then here, from 67 onward, keep that rotate Y and body. It needs to ease in, because right now it feels like, if I were to look at the graph editor, either it's like the rotate Y in the cog or the chest. Right now it feels like it's going like weep, boom, and just like plateauing. So try to make it, you know, kind of come and maybe even, you know, settle. Well, you probably don't actually want that, but just kind of make sure it's easing. So instead of having like, you know, key here, key here, key here, try to get a little bit more ease into it. Same thing here as he's coming up.
This is your room.
It would be nice to break up. I know he's tense, so this could be a little bit more of an objective note, but right now it feels like his hands are kind of like locked, like they're constrained to like his chest and are just kind of like following everything that his body does. which I know you want to make him feel tense, but it'd be nice just to have a little bit of drag. Like, we're like, holy cow! And like he comes up and just, there's a few frames where these hands are dragging. You know, maybe he comes down here, those, you know, hands are being pressed up against his chest because he's coming down, so that's all kind of falling. And then here, right? Maybe they come down and then up again. Maybe something like this.
Cow, this is your
Yeah, I like that. I don't like what I drew here.
cow, this is
But basically from here on, like,
cow.
you can kind of see that's just breaking up just a little bit, those hands coming up. So you still get that feeling like he's being tense and like he's tied up, but it's just breaking up that body a little bit. And also one thing I would do here, I'm getting the same feeling of like especially with those hands, like I was mentioning, if you do those hands, it'll feel better of the note of dragging them a little bit, but also it feels like his entire body, like this is just like, whoop, like it feels like it's just translating up in space. It doesn't feel like it needs to feel more connected or less stiff, I guess is the term I'm looking for. So if you think about what's leading here, right? What's following is he's down, he's bent, he's in this antic. For him to go up, he needs to push his from his feet, right? So he's pushing, so that's going to put his hips up. That's going to actually make his chest and head go down. And then his chest is going to follow, and then his neck, and then his head. So kind of the 3 bouncing ball method, right? This is going to be first, this is going to be second, this is going to be third. You know, so maybe you have 2 frames of just these hips coming up. This is exaggerated, of course, and keep the anatomy of your character, unlike me drawing it. You know, if his head's here. You know, and then his head might be like here. This is going to be exaggerated, but I'm just kind of drawing this. That way you maybe understand a little bit more of the feel of what I'm going for. I might even draw this head. I wish there was a bigger eraser and Sync Sketch. That'd be real nice. Or maybe even like here still. Yeah. Let me turn on tinting. Oop, and I just opened up my, hello. Can we try something different? Okay, that'll work for now. And then here, like the head will start coming up more, because this head's gonna be that last thing that's gonna get there. Again, you don't want him to feel floppy, but you still want him to just be a little bit more broken up and organic. And so maybe here, like, you know, the chest is fully there, the hips are where you have it, all that. The only thing that would be a little bit different is maybe this head would be a little bit further down and the rotate X wouldn't be as much yet. Like, you know, the nose would be there. Obviously this would be like here. He's got a big head.
Cow, this is your room?
Yeah, and I would get up to it.
Cow, this is your
Yeah. So by here, also watch out for this interesting offset blink. I have a joke whenever I film reference, I don't know why, but I do the original Pixar blink. Like if you watch Toy Story 1, you know, they do that offset blink because they saw one guy did reference like that. And yes, some people do offset blinks, but every one of my references I ever film, I'm like cutting it together and trying to export it. Every time I do an offset blink, like a Pixar character, like they tell you not to do. I don't know why, so if you're using reference for me, it's true to life, but... Yeah, so by here, he would be exactly in the same spot. you know, and then just kind of ease into that X rotation.
Holy cow, this is your
Yeah, see how that feels now? Like if you just watch, and these are obviously chicken scratches, gross drawings of mine, but
cow. This
you can just see how that, and also it's fun because he says cow and he really pops that, so that's kind of a fun way to like boom, like kind of pop it with the body too. Like accenting your dialogue with the body is always a fun thing to add in, and adds a lot, I think, to the performance and acting subtly.
cow. This is your room. Cow, this is
Okay, and you mentioned you were like just splined this walk, and we're wanting specific notes on it, so let me take a look. I think the biggest thing, like I looked at it a little bit earlier, and the biggest thing for me that sticks out is like your translate side to side, like your trans X on the hips just doesn't feel like it's easing in and out. Like it kind of feels like you're just going boom, 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 instead of being like boom, boom, boom. Like you're not going fast in and out of your extremes.
cow. This is your room.
Yeah, that's like the biggest thing I'm feeling.
This is your room.
Because like that needs to be solid before you start. Because there's other stuff I see too of like the chest and hips need to be broken up a little bit, and like your rotate Z and all that. But don't focus on the hips first and get that cog feeling like solid before you focus on anything else with the torso, head, etc.
This is your room.
So here, right, we infer that he's picking up this leg because he's about to take those steps. But right now, if I'm watching like this hip, right here, he's staying in the exact same spot. And then he just starts moving screen right. Right? So here's where an antic needs to happen. He needs to put his weight over his screen left leg in order to pick that right leg up, or screen right leg up and move forward. So you're just missing an antic here of like screen right or screen left. He needs to move screen left. Right? So here, when he does this turn and like rotate Y, start transferring the weight onto that screen left leg. Right, he's here. Oops, I'm doing that too. You know, this is extreme when I'm drawing, but
This is your room.
yeah, see that how like
This
those,
is your room.
you get that vroom vroom, like that side, that little antic is what's gonna make it feel like he's actually taking the weight. 'Cause right now it just feels like he's like kneeling over sideways, like he's just kind of going woo, like he translates over. I don't feel that weight being transferred to his standing leg and then falling over into the other leg for that walk.
This is your room.
Same thing here. Watching that translate like side to side, that trans exit in the hips. You get here. Oh, wait, let's see. Here, here, here. This hits a wall, see that? And there's almost no, which I know he's coming forward, so it's going to cheat it a little bit, but there still is no like translate over to screen left, which needs to happen for him to get that weight over that other leg. You know, so maybe you get here. You know, maybe something like that. Oh, that's ridiculous. I drew way too much. I lost the mass of what his actual hips are, but... You can kind of see like what I mean though here specifically, just like having that like rebound of like in and out and like easing in and out of those two, because like ideally in your graph editor, like what your translate X should look like on your cog should be, you know, this. Like you should have your extreme, right? Your extremes here, and then you're gonna have either keys or weighted, whatever you use to like bring it out. You're gonna basically ease in and out of those extremes, right? Instead of, because right now probably what's happening is this, I'm guessing. And I bet you it's like extreme here, extreme here, extreme here. But you just need to like widen that like arch a little bit. One thing that would be nice, and this is objective, this is just like cannot get out of my head, so I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. maybe I need to say it, I don't know. But what would be nice is you have this like he's taking a breath, right? Like he's sniffing. He's like, and then you go into this nice pose here. I love this of like sunken in, you know, shoulders hunched. This is really fun. I would play up this, right? And there's several different ways you can do it, but like if he's sniffing up, I would try to get a little bit, this is going to be extreme when I draw, but you know, it would be fun to get something a little bit more along the lines of this. You know, obviously his head's not the right way, so maybe you would actually take this drawing and like flip it. Oh, hello. You know, actually, you know what? Probably would. Maybe he would be more this way, right? This is obviously too extreme. Don't do this to this level. Or do it and try it and see what happens. It could be fun. But it could be fun to really push that. Because right now, like when I watch it, I've seen this shot enough times that I know that he's sniffing. But if I look at it from just kind of like a blank eye, I don't read right away that he's taking this, like he's sniffing. Like I hear it more than I see it. So it would be fun to be like, this is your room? And like, you know, or whatever he says next.
What's that smell?
What's that smell? You know, he goes, what's that smell? Like just having that contrast and reversing that C of the spine would be really fun, I think. And again, this is an objective note. Don't take it if you don't like it, but it's just something that popped into my head that I thought I might as well say, you know, something like that. Could be fun.
What's that smell?
Because also what's fun too, like, I'm going back and trying to disprove my own notes, but like what would be fun here, like of having him go like getting that change in the spine, his hands are tied, literally, physically, so you can't really do a lot with, I mean, you can do a lot in terms of posing, but you can't push it as much as you would if he had free hands, right? Because we gesture a lot when we talk, and you can kind of gesture with your hands when they're tied up like that, but it'd be fun to get a lot of that contrast and that acting in the bodies. It'd be fun of like, just giving him different pose changes here would be, I think, definitely worth exploring.
What's that smell?
I'm just looking at like posing here. Something about the head I'm not a fan of, but I don't know what it is. I might try just like, this is kind of picky, but I might try cranking this rotate Z a little bit more. Up the head. Like, I don't know. Just trying to get something a little bit more appealing of, also that's a beautiful nose I just drew on this man. drawing makes no sense. But basically what I'm saying is just like maybe get a bit more of like this rotation. I don't know, just to kind of like get that kind of line of action through the body. Maybe try it. It may not work, but I don't like how straight on that head is. And it could be fun to like, if you do get more of like a rotate Z in the head here. To get more of like asymmetry through the face too. You know, just try to get a little bit more of that, if that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. Something like that. Just trying to get like more asymmetry through the face. That could possibly help like amplify that a little bit more if you have a little bit more of like rotating in the head, stuff like that. Also here, just like watch out for that neck when he starts to rotate over. Make sure that neck is like supporting that. And like he starts to lead with that head or something. Here, this is another place, like in your blocking, you can start to work this in of like, what's leading, what's following, right? Because right now, it feels like it's a toss-up between are the hands leading or is the head following? And you could play it two different ways, right? Maybe he sees it and he's like, oh, and then his hands kind of come out after and grab it. Or it could be like, ooh, what's that? And then the head drags and hits it. So that's just about like, neither are wrong. It just depends on what you want to do with it. And one might feel better than the other once you try it out. I think what I would probably do here is like maybe lead with the hands, right? You know, maybe the hands are here, and then the hands are here, to here, here, maybe by here. Let's see. Could even be fun like here, maybe he's got the hands reaching out. Also, I am not in a good drawing space today. I'm a hot mess. You know, maybe the finger, what I'm trying to do is like the fingers reaching out here before, boom, like grabbing it, right? So maybe even you cheat it and like you see some of the fingers out this way, you know, but his hands are still tied, but he's like got them splayed like this, right? And then he grabs them. That can be kind of fun. Because that's always fun whenever you have a character grab something. I always try to have 1 to 2 frames of the hands like out, their fingers like outstretched before you grab something. Like if I have this, gotta put it here, there we go. Like if I have a character grab something, I never just go boom, because that never reads as good as it can, but I always have them go here, boom, boom, boom. Or here, boom, and then like the fingers close around it. It's just nice to give like a little flex and extension of the fingers before you wrap the hands around or wrap the fingers around something. Whenever a character is grabbing onto an object, because it just makes it feel a little bit more like solid, a little more weight to it. And it reads, especially at a quicker speed, like it reads better.
Musky. Musk.
This is kind of an overall note. You might kill me for this, but I think what could be interesting here, I think it works as you have now, but what I might try and like what my intuition is saying is like, I need a moment from him being like, you know, after here,
Smell.
what's that smell? Then he looks up and he's like, what is it? I need a moment of like, oh, what's that? And then he grabs it. Like maybe he's like, oh, I smell it from over there. I just need like a little beat of him realizing, oh, that thing, and then going to grab it, and maybe even making this grab faster. Like you could probably speed it up double the speed of it, just to be like, and then he smells it. Like I think that could be a really fun way to push this, because right now it just kind of feels like he's going, grab. Like I don't feel a real difference between the timing. I think you could really punch the timing here to be something a little more snappy. Like here I can tell like this is the moment where you're trying to make him look, but there's so much movement in the body, I'm not reading that on his face. So maybe even keeping him also, whoops, what did I do? So basically what I'm thinking of here is like, let's snap up that timing, right? So here he looks, but let's keep him almost in this. Also, I just saw Pratt Bros are rating. Hello, everybody. So many people. Oh, welcome to animation feedback. We're giving feedback on Shari's shot, her really cool shot here. And we're talking about timing and snapping up things. So here, like, why don't we try this? If like he's still in this pose here, right? So like he's more still in that pose over there of like the chest is this way, right? The rotation Y is still there, but you just have that movement of the head and the eyes seeing it. You have a beat of that for about 4 frames, and then he goes into it. Like I think that would be a really cool way to punch this up and have it read a bit clearer. I think that would help a lot. So try it. That might be something you could even try. My best friend in Maya is the Retime Tool in the graph editor. It's beautiful, but basically you can place markers and keys if you're not sure what it is. I don't have Maya up because I didn't think to put it up, but I can screenshot it and post it later for you. But it's a really quick way to test out if something works, especially something like this. I would 100% use it. So basically you can worry about scaling keys later and like snapping them, but you take this pose here, right, at 201, and then you take like this pose here at like 211, key everything, and then you can place markers that give you a bounding box of where it's going to shift around keys. That way it's not moving, your end keys into infinity, and it's preserving all that timing. And you can just take the middle marker, if this makes sense, this is a bad way to explain it, I should have had mine up, but then you can take that middle marker and move it, so that way, you can move it this way, so that way it's going to hold this pose for longer, and then it will speed up this transition without you having to reanimate anything. So it's really cool. But I'll post a picture of that in our channel box Discord if anyone wants to see afterwards, so that way I can have it up and you can see. And I saw that Sin just posted a bunch of links of all the new people of, yes, follow us on Discord, join our Discord, follow Instagram, all those good things. But yeah, I would try that, Shari, and just see how that feels of like giving this another beat here. Shari, you can kind of do it the same. Like, it's basically doing the same thing, but for me, my brain works better with it, because also what you can do, and maybe that's something I can do like a demo on later, is you can key all your animation in one place and the other. Actually, you know what? I'm going to open up Maya, because it's worth it. But this has genuinely changed my life. I love being able to use it, because it gives me a really quick way, especially whenever I have like my lead or director saying like, hey, I want this retimed, or I want something different here. It's a quick way for me to be able to retime things without ruining everything else in between. So it's kind of a fun thing. And if you have, the only issue with it is, but it's just like scaling keys in the graph editor for timing, or not graph editor, in the timeline. Scaling keys can cause lots of issues with like, your keys aren't on whole frames anymore, they'll be on subframes, and then that can be a hot mess down the pipeline. And yeah, exactly what Dan's saying, it doesn't give you gaps. Yeah. And so if you have those like keys on subframes, if you have Animbot, you can do smart snap keys, and basically what it does is it will take those keys that are on subframes, find the common denominator basically between the keys, key it on a whole frame, and delete the subframes. It's amazing. I can't live without it at this point. Let me get I got Maya up here. Give me 1 second. We'll take a random old shot of mine and I'll show you. Because Daniel actually is the one that showed me this, and it changed my life, so I'm stealing this 100% from him. Let's just make it this. File open. Okay, cool. So yeah, let me just read the chat here real quick, see if I can keep up with what's going on. Yes, AnimBot, we love AnimBot. But yeah, AnimBot's definitely worth it. I use Smart Snap keys all the time. It's a specific function in AnimBot where, like I said, it will make everything just work beautifully. And that way, because scaling and retiming things in the graph editor will change how you animate. Because I know before I used that in AnimBot, I was always so scared to retime things. Either I had to do it manually, or I had to go in and have to deal with subframes and try to key everything on whole frames and delete in between. Like, it was a hot mess. So, and snapping keys in, you know, on the actual timeline, like Maya's snap keys is, it doesn't really work that often. So here's, okay, here we go. Maya finally decided to join us. So here's an old shot of mine, and a shot I never finished. So basically, let's say like, I don't like this timing, right?
It's hard to believe it's only been 3 months.
Maybe I want him to tap on that pin a little bit sooner, right? It's also, why is my timeline out here? Okay. So maybe I want him to tap on this pin before he says this line of dialogue, right? So I'll take, also I have 2 rigs in here, what's happening? So the normal way you do this, right? You could go in here and I could say, okay, this is when he taps. I could grab all this, right? Like this is the normal way, and then scale it, move it around, right? And then go in and try to snap it, but Maya never snaps, right? But the cool thing to do is like, this is kind of this was rough blocking, the shot never got finished, it got shelved. But basically what I can do is I can say, okay, where's the start of him tapping that pin? Okay, right here. So I'm gonna take everything, set a key. And now it's gonna freak out because I have something else selected. Actually, just give me 1 minute and let me just undo this reference. There we go. Okay, we don't need Judozer. Now I can just grab Memnon and grab here. How is my PC dying? I've got a pretty buff PC. It has its issues sometimes, but I can run things almost real time, which is pretty snazzy. Okay, here we go. So now we just have him, right? So let's grab here. I'm gonna set a key on everything, right? And also, troubleshooting and doing Maya stuff on the go is embarrassing. I'm sorry. I am a better and faster animator than this usually, but we're just gonna go with it. So I take everything here, right? And then I'm gonna find the end of that action here, which there's already a key, so we're gonna use that. So 125, and then we have 92, right? Okay, so this little beauty right here, I don't know if you can see it, it's called the Retime Tool. It's right under like Select and Curves in your graph editor. We grab that. You double click to add markers. So they call them retime markers. So basically you're gonna bookend your shot. So this is kind of like whenever you have, you know, animation you don't like, you're gonna key everything on 2 places, delete everything in between. It's called like bookending. It's kind of the same thing, but you're gonna place markers. So I can put 1 marker here. I just double clicked, right? And then I'm gonna find where I want that action to end, where I marked it. Here, 125, I'm gonna click that. So now this is like locked, right? So then I'm gonna say, I want it, oops, I'm gonna key the first of my shot and the end of my shot, which this isn't exactly the end, but we're just gonna say it is. Then I'm just gonna grab this marker. Of course, when I use it, it decides that it's just not gonna work. Hello? Okay, well, maybe we'll have Daniel do this next time, because with me, it's decided that it's not gonna work. There we go. Okay, so see now this? Now I can move it. So I'm retiming it. So I can pull, there we go. I don't know why it was having a conniption. So basically, no, you do not need to select the curves. You just need to select the controls of what you're doing. Now you can do it by curves, so if I only want like the head rotations to move, or if I just want like the chest rotation, like you can choose specific things. But so basically I can move these around. You can see stuff's moving.
It's hard to believe it's only been 3 months.
So now see how it's coming after? So I can grab this here, and you're not losing anything. So there's going to be no gaps, because if you do this, yeah, I think it is 3 marker, but I had 3, so I'm not sure what was going on. But I can move this around. It's all good. I can bring these keys wherever I want and not have to worry about there being gaps, because it's moving my animation as a whole around, which is nice. You know what? I don't know if you can make smart snap keys an icon. I wish you could. If anyone knows, please tell me. Because if anyone's wondering, smart snap keys on the Animbot is these 3 blue dots here. Anim curve extra tools, and this at the very bottom here. I'm sure there is a way, because I know Animbot's insane customizable. So
It's hard to believe.
now see how he taps the pin before, right? And I didn't lose any animation anywhere, right? And everything's the same time where it needs to be. So that's just the beauty. So that's just a quick little demo of how to retime and why we love the Retime tool and we use it all the time, because it is so nice. And then the only thing that you do have to do is, like, after I do this, right? If I said, okay, this is cool, this is exactly the timing I want, you know, click Q. Now this, I'll grab all my keys. I'll hit Animbot and I will say, whoops, smart snap keys. And now sometimes Maya will take a hot minute to think about it, but now everything's snapped. And everything's on whole frames. I don't have to worry about it. See, no subframes. It's so nice, yeah. Also, I'm looking, let's see. See, lots of things happening in the chat. Yeah, Maya has issues when you try to do snap keys itself, and a lot of times your animation will be kind of weird, so that's why Animbot's so good. Because, like I said before, it will find those subframes, it'll find the common denominator between your subframes and where you actually want the key. It will key it on the whole frames and delete the subframes, which is very nice. And I'm looking real quick at the chat to make sure I didn't lose anything. And thank you. Yeah, this is an old shot of mine that got shelved. I was actually working on this shot to apply to Disney TalDev this summer with it, and then I ended up not finishing it. So it just sits there because now I'm mad at it because I didn't finish it in time. So as most shots go, but. Oh, and if anyone's new to the channel, yes, this is anyone from Pratt Bros still staying around too. Basically, this is a feedback session that we're doing of I'm looking at work, animation, and we do a feedback program with a few people that we selected a long time ago now, and we'll look at their shots each week and give feedback live. That way people can watch, learn. If they have questions, they can ask things. Yeah, Sin just posted our Discord that you can join. Follow us on Instagram. And there's 3 of us that do this. Me, I'm Madison Erwin, Daniel Stewart, and Sin Musi. We all do feedback on different days of the week, so check those out. But anywho, that was a diversion of what I was talking about. But yes, use the Retime tool. It's really awesome, especially when you start to get into spline and you don't want to go back and have to reblock things for different timing. That's extreme, right? So that's a really nice way to be able to do it. And something that, like even here with his hands coming out, I would take his hands and literally use the Retime tool to get them there sooner. Sometimes when you're doing major reblocking of like timing and you need to offset different things of the body, it's not the best, but you can use it to rough out your timing and then go in and like fix it a little bit. Okay, cool.
Musky.
So let me see if I have any other notes.
Musky.
One thing I would be cautious about here, watch out for his hip. Like here, the hips feel good, like he feels in weight, right? But then, yes, and if you could moderate and tell the people what they need to know, I'd appreciate it. When he's picking this up, I'm just watching, I'm like looking at like where his center of mass is right now. And he's got this it's right here. And usually that needs to be underneath his hips. Or stacked on top of his hips, I mean. So, you know, either start getting his hips a little bit closer sooner So that way he just like stacked up underneath himself. Just getting him in balance, right? Like, I wonder if he might... honestly, a way you could fix it without having to worry too much about anything else is just, like, having him take a step forward here with that leg. Like, when he goes to lean forward here, maybe he picks this leg up. You know, maybe it's, like, here. This would just help him keep him a little bit more in balance. You know, and then it's here. And that way he's here, and like his legs are going to be a little bit more spread, so that way he can just like lift up, and you're not going to have to worry because the hips are working in terms of like what he's doing from his legs up, but his legs just need to be support him a little bit more.
Musky.
And also that would help. Like my next note I was going to have is like, I like the feeling of this, right? But I know this leg is here because we've seen the space between it, right? Like this is really pushed. And I like it, but it would be better, it would make more sense if the leg was just a little further out. So that would also help that. It would like be 2 notes in one. And let me just take a quick look at Aya.
Oh, this is your room? What's that smell?
Nice.
Musky. Holy cow, this is your room? This is your room?
One thing I might do, basically like my overall note of like Aya and Jules at this point would just be to break up the chest and the hips and the head. Like I love the feeling of this like everywhere else, like except for the torso and Aya, like when she goes whoom and she goes to grab the hammer. Right? Like this feels really nice. I love what the legs are doing and the arms, like really good feeling. Only thing that I would maybe try is like getting the hips over a little bit sooner and dragging this torso. Oh, hello. What did I just do? Okay. Not sure what's happening. Hopefully that didn't delete anything. There we go. Okay. Not sure what happened. Sorry about that. I hit something on my keyboard and it had a conniption. Okay, cool. There we go. But, yeah, but in terms of here, I would just try to break that up. So, like, have that torso rotate Z, just go a little bit more over, that way you can come back up. So, like, even here, maybe I would have these hips out a little bit more. That way this torso has somewhere to go. Excuse me. Because right, if her head is theoretically here, here, here. Think of her head staying here. Her torso staying here. You know, this might be a little too pushed, so you might want to back off of like what I'm drawing, but it could be fun. Like just trying to push this exaggeration of like this torso coming back and like dragging that head a bit.
Oh, this is your room? Oh, this is your room?
You know, and by here, like she'd be totally back to where she's at now. But yeah, just breaking that up a little bit, that head and the chest. Also, just watch out for this hand, so when she goes to grab this, it looks like a constraint issue of like it kicks in and then she kind of like, it stutters a little bit. And like watch out the spacing, like it's kind of stuck here in IK and then like it pops up and then it pops here. So just like watch that arc. And you might already know that. It might just be like a little bit of a poppy spline thing, but yeah, just be aware.
What's that smell?
I love this look and like this movement. The little, like I love that facial expression. It's so good.
musky.
Aya has notoriously hard hips to pose, and I always feel bad giving feedback because I know how much of a pain in the butt it will be to try to do it. But see if you can get a little bit more of like this feeling. You know, try to get a little bit more. Because I love the hips and like how you have that kind of like, you know, up to the side, and she's like got that knee in. I like that. I just want to see that like mimicked on the top too. You know, like something like that. And just like pushing those shoulders, like even pushing that a little bit further because you have such a nice facial expression and like the hips. Like I love the pose. It's just like that top. And also making sure that she feels a little bit more like her chest is like pointing this way and rotate Y.
Musky. Musky.
And also just something to watch out for. Make sure that this shoulder is going to come up before the hammer, because like that shoulder is like what she's going to use to pull up all that weight, and that's what's going to show weight. Especially like here, like that shoulder needs to be like sky high. You know, this one can be up too because of the tension. Like in Aya, like two, I've noticed working with her, you can't just rotate Z, like rotate her shoulders. You need to translate too if you really want a push pose. So that's just something to keep in mind. And then you can do something really nice, like the shoulders are up here. And like here, like the shoulder needs to be like here. Like here, I would still even have it up. A little bit more up. And then they can be kind of down here to what you have. Just to give it, make sure that weight is shown. Like see, even just like seeing the rough drawings, it feels a little bit more like there's weight there because that shoulder is engaged and she's grabbing it, so.
Holy cow, this is your room? What's that smell? Musky.
But yeah, I think that would be my main notes for you. It's looking really good.
This is your room? What's that smell?
And hopefully that helped, and my little demo about retiming things helped, and yeah, I think that would be my main notes. Is just overall, just go through and do a pass on like Jules and Aya. But specifically Jules is like where I see it the most, but Aya there's a few places of like thinking of the head, you know, chest, hips as bouncing balls, right? Always breaking them up, never have them move as a unit. Make sure that there's always something leading and there's always something following, right? And usually with that, there's not a bad answer of what needs to lead or what needs to follow. Or like, you know, here, if he grabs it, it could be his head that leads, right? It could be maybe his hips lead and like everything goes forward. So just getting different things to make the characters feel more organic, and also the poses make them feel more lived in, right? Like make them feel like the character's really into it. And then the like timing beat here with Jules, like I was saying, could be really fun to explore. Yeah, but I think that'd be my main notes. So if you have any questions, Shari, feel free to DM me or say something now if you want on the chat. But also, I missed a lot of chat. Oh my goodness. Hopefully nothing disastrous is happening. But let me check real quick just to make sure. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay. But yeah, it's looking great, Shari. So let me make sure I have no more things. Okay, cool. Awesome, you're welcome, Shari. Okay, so next we have kind of open feedback. So if you're on the Discord, you can post anything on the feedback channel. And if we have more time, I think I have a few more minutes. Let's see, how long have I been streaming? Oh yeah, I definitely have time. So I probably have another hour I can be here. So if anyone wants things to post, I see some people have posted already. Let me actually just real quick check the links. And if you send the link, make sure it's Sync Sketch. And also if you send a link, like I just saw Adriano sent a link, a Sync Sketch link, If it's private, I can't open it. So you have to go into your share settings and make sure that, I think it's now called external collaborators can open review. So if you could make sure, that'd be good. Danish posted something. Cool. Okay, so it looks like Alex has something. Let's see. Okay, cool. Just making sure I'm not missing anything. Opening links. Okay, let me refresh my page. Alrighty. So we have Alex posted his shot. Cool. So I'm not sure how I managed to do that. I can't delete it. Okay, there we go. So let me take a look. Let's watch.
I just always believed you would come. And you did.
Been a long time, huh?
Yeah. But once we're self-sufficient again, we can defend ourselves.
Why did nobody try until now?
My brothers tried. I just always believed you would come.
Nice.
And you did.
Been a long time, huh?
Really good movement.
But once we're self-sufficient again, we can defend ourselves.
Why did nobody try until now?
My brothers tried. I just always believed you would come. And you did.
Been a long time, huh?
Yeah. But once we're self-sufficient again, we can defend ourselves.
Why did nobody try until now?
My brothers tried. I just
Cool. Okay. Sometimes when I just open a shot for the first time, it takes me a few minutes like watching it to like see what I would give notes on, so that's why it takes me a minute. But yeah, this is looking really good. I like the you have a lot of natural movement going on, especially like in Aya.
Always believed
feels
you
really
would come.
nice.
Always believed you would come.
So it's kind of the same note I was just giving Shari at the end about Aya specifically. But try right now. Everything's locked except for that IK hand moving, right? So a couple frames earlier. Oh, what's that? Can I draw? Okay, there we go. You have the shoulder here. That shoulder needs to engage before she pulls the gun, right? Because that shoulder is what's moving the arm. And that's a lot of things that I see in student work of like, the shoulders are usually forgotten unless for the overall pose, but shoulders are really important, especially for like moving and reaching, because a lot of times we'll even like, you know, gesture with our shoulders or move them around a lot, and people kind of will use the chest like control to kind of mimic that, but a lot of times it's coming from the shoulders. So shoulders, especially when we're reaching, like the shoulder almost always is going to engage first before the arm comes up. So as a general rule of thumb, have the shoulder come up a few frames. Right here it can start coming up. You know, maybe that's too much too soon, but
Believed you would come. No, you would come.
yeah.
Always believed you would come. And you did. I just always believed you would come. You would come.
I really like that circular settle that you have on like the arm with the gun. That's really nice.
Always believed you would come.
Little thing. I think like the biggest thing I'll give you is like facial notes, because I do feel like the faces aren't as pushed as they could be in a lot of places, like facial posing. And just a few little things like this eye dart with Aya here, right? It's 3 frames and it feels like it's just splining from one key to the next. So as eye darts, as a general rule, you're going to have, you know, your 2 keys of your extremes. You're going to have this and you're going to have 2 in-betweens. Now it depends, like micro eye darts, it's going to be different. A lot of times it's going to be on ones. But for this big of one, I would do, you know, your first key is your extreme. Second key is 80% of the movement. And then the last key is the last 20%. So making sure that the eyes go boom, boom, boom. So that way it's not just evenly splining. You're going to get 80% there, and then you're going to 20% like ease into it. So that just gives a little bit more naturalistic feel to the eye darts, especially with Aya. Aya can be a little bit different because she has bowling balls for eyes, so you really have to finesse sometimes your spacing of your eye darts, especially if you're going from like here to here. You have to do a lot and really make sure that your in-betweens are good, so just be aware of that.
I always believed you would come.
For this looking down, will Sync Sketch let me zoom in today? No, it won't. Okay, what? I did not want that. There we go. Nope. I've been having issues with Sync Sketch like not letting me zoom in. I'm not sure why, but work with me. Okay, there we go. So here, just trying to get that apex of like the eyelid over center of the pupil and the iris is a good rule of thumb. Just to get it a bit more like this, you know, shape that. Here, same thing, really try to open up that eye so we can see that pupil, because right now it's kind of getting lost. This is a difficult angle anyways, but like, oops. Yeah, the eye direction here is a little odd. Right, so something maybe a little bit more like this. And maybe even like lowering this lid a little bit more to match it. I try to get the brows a little bit more specific and try to make sure that they're flowing into each other, right? So like, more like, whoop. If I were to draw a continuous line through it. So maybe you'd even press this one up. Maybe that'd be too much, but yeah. Just to get something a little bit different. I might even press this mouth. Right now this mouth feels very default. It might be nice to get it to the side a bit. You know, like rotating it this way, like rotating it in Z, maybe even getting the nose a little bit over here. Also, Sync Sketch also decided today that I don't need pin pressure. It's fine. So just trying to maybe get a little bit more of that, like alligatoring the face, right? Opening up this section of it. So my favorite control on Aya is her squash and stretch control at the bottom here. A lot of people won't use it, and like, oh, it makes her, specifically Aya, I use it on all rigs because it adds a lot of fleshy movement to the face, but Aya specifically works really well for posing her and getting more appeal out of her. So taking that and like translating it in X just to get that line of action through the face, it's a really good base. That way you can build your pose on top of it and get that solid foundation of you already have some directionality going through the face, and then you can kind of just refine it, which is really nice.
I just always believed you would come.
I would love right here, like someone was mentioning, I think in the chat, that maybe she should pull out the gun earlier. I'm not sure what, you know, your intention for her relationship as the animator that was doing the shot. I'm not sure what your intention for the relationship between the two of them to be, but the way I read it is like, you know, in terms of what he was saying, he's like talking to her of how they knew that this would come, and they're talking like they've had a history together, right? That they've worked together or they've been through something together. And she pulls the gun on him because she's like mad at him, or they had a falling out or something happened, right? So I would love to see a moment here of just in the eyes, right? She's down, she's like either detailing her gun, she's doing something, or I guess the gun's in the holster, but she's looking at whatever this is, the car. She's working on the car, doing something. I want to see a beat right after he starts talking of the eyes going up, right? And she's like, she's looking, maybe they go up And then she looks back at him. And then she pulls the gun on him because she's making that decision in her head. And in my head, that's what she's thinking internally, right? Because this is what's such an important thing about subtext and acting. When you have a character that's in a still pose like this, and in production at a studio, you will have so many shots where a character's just in a static, almost static pose, just thinking. And that is when acting subtext plays such an important role in what you're doing. It always does, but very specifically in times like this, when you need to be holding a pose or something and just show that in the face, you have to have an internal dialogue of what is this character thinking, right? What's motivating their face? And for lack of a better way to put it. So she's sitting there, she's, detailing the car, she's not him again. I cannot believe he has the audacity to come here. And that's why she pulls the gun, right? You just have to think about what's motivating that gun pulling. And right now I'm not reading anything from her face besides I'm working on a car and I'm staring at it.
I just always believed you would come.
She does have this nice little moment, right? Which you could still have that. And you kind of go into a little bit of a sneer, which is nice. You're kind of showing like a little microaggression, right? A little micro expression of, not microaggression, micro expression of that face of like, not him again, like I hate him, right? Or like we had an issue, or showing that conflict. So I would love to see a moment before that moment, basically, of just the eyes, looking up. I think that could be really interesting and add a lot to the shot and have it read a lot more. This is a really bad eye pose, but just to kind of show you what I'm thinking. And maybe you could even have, maybe the eyebrows come up a little bit. Maybe they kind of overshoot because she's having this moment. She's thinking about it.
Just always believed you.
And then she goes right from like that looking up to looking down because that's her decision making, right? She's there, she's thinking about him because he surprised her that he's back. And then I know this sounds like a lot just for eyes, but that's how you have to start thinking about acting, of like all these things going through her head as she's doing something. As a character's thinking through a scene, that makes them feel a lot more alive because then what they're doing feels motivated and it doesn't just feel like stage play acting, right? Yeah.
I just don't.
Yeah, and then honestly, I love the timing too of like when she looks over.
Just always believed you would come.
Actually, I'm going back in my own note. I was scrubbing through. I wasn't watching it the whole
Just
time.
always believed you.
Right now, this eye dart technically does lead her pulling out the gun, but I would probably have it happen like.
I just always believed. I
would have this happen here, maybe.
I just always.
No. Here. Roughly.
I just always believed you.
I just always believed you. Maybe? Yeah.
I just always.
So yeah, literally just like 4 frames earlier is when you're having it happen. I don't know why I started drawing an eye up. It made no sense. It's Friday, everyone. Brain, no worky. Yeah, but something like that. So basically kind of like that timing.
I just always believed you would come.
A little bit later. It's really not that much sooner now that I'm watching it, of like when you want the eyes to go, but I just want them to happen before she pulls out the gun, but not only 2 frames before. Like it needs to happen just a little bit earlier for it to read, so that way it doesn't just look like a lot of movement between the face and the gun and the whole body. So
Always believed you would come. You would come.
I think it's a really fun decision that you have the hand and the gun leading the action. I like that instead of it being like the head or the torso as a whole. You might even be able to push that a little bit more with like the rotate Y. Right? Like this is the nose, like we're looking at the top of her head, right? Like this is her eyes. has such a big head. And also, this would be a really fun place because she whips it out so fast. Like, don't start going crazy into it. I always try to be like very conservative when I talk about like adding like smears to the face. But one thing that can be really fun, especially on a whip around like this, and if you're doing this, if you're delaying this rotate Y with the head, which I think would help a lot, drag the nose, drag the mouth, like take, you know, this, my favorite control, her squash and stretch, and bring it over so that way you're getting more of like this through the face. That's always a really fun thing to do, and just sometimes those smears don't look pretty because you're doing a lot to the face and it feels almost wrong to do it, but they look really nice in motion. So I do this a lot even on like dialogue shots. Like if I had one shot of this a dialogue shot of someone saying grand adventure and she was like whipping her head, and I drug her nose literally to the other side of her face when she went grand, and then her mouth was countering it, and it looked really great. It felt wrong, but it looked really good in motion. So sometimes that's animation, for lack of a better professional way to put it.
Believed you would come. And you did.
Been a long time, huh?
You did.
Oh, and let me see. Yes. Okay, exactly. As long as it works. So the story is about two friends lost each other in an apocalypse. Nice. Yeah. I love that. And that's cool that you're thinking of, like, she's jumpy, like, her character personality, right? Like, shoot first, ask questions later, kind of feeling like she's survival mode. And that's cool because that influenced how you animated the action and the movement. And even something as small as, like, holding an object or turning, it can really dictate and differ depending on the character, so.
And you did.
Been a long time, huh?
No, I just always believed you would come. And you did.
Also, I'd watch out, just as a general note, of this breathing. You're probably using Aya's breath control, and it's good as a supplementary control. But Aya's breath control, the issue is it just kind of inflates her chest, and it doesn't really involve any of her shoulders or, you know, anything else. So try to add a little bit of, like, you know, shoulder movement. And usually the chest will come first, of like it coming up, and sometimes I even take her who's it? IK chest, and I'll layer some little bit translate Y on top of it, just so you have that. And once you have that curve of like the breath and like it easing in and out of the extremes, you can take it and copy those curves to the TY of the shoulders, just to add a little bit of like that breath, that upper chest breath, because otherwise when we breathe, if you try to breathe and only fill your lungs and not move your shoulders, it's extremely hard. So that will make it feel a lot more natural, is involving those shoulders a bit more.
And you did.
Been a long time.
Yeah, and you did.
Been a long time, huh?
Watch out for this pop on this hand. It's still, and then all of a sudden it pops up, and then it's even again, so just work that out. I'm a sucker for binbos. I would binbo this out of existence. Aya has really bony arms. And obviously don't go extreme where she's, you know, has noodles, but
Been a long time, huh?
same kind of note that I gave you at first of like in terms of shoulders, have these shoulders engage, right? These hands are about to come up, especially for this. They need to come up a bit before she puts the gun away, right? Because she's pulling them up, and the way that she's doing it is she's very much just like upper arm first. She's not moving it out, because sometimes the only time where you can get away with like not moving the shoulders much is like if a character has their arm like this and is moving this way. Even then you're going to get some shoulder rotation. But if she's specifically moving to put the gun back in the holster, those shoulders need to engage way before, you know, not way before, but a considerable amount of frames before you see the majority of the hands be fully up. So have those shoulders start engaging, and especially this one, because like this is what really starts to come out, and you see, you know. to see that shoulder out here because maybe not this one as far, but try it out. And I do like bin bows, but this may be too much, a little tad too much. I see what you're trying to do though. If anything, I would put most of the bin down here, or upper arm, and then just try to barely straighten that out. I think it would still give you a nice line of action if you, I was about to say cylindrical eyes, but that is not a word. If you round out that top arm, it will help a lot. The later streams go, the more interesting and imaginative my vocabulary gets. And I make up words that don't exist. When she turns here, I want to see, since she's moving screen right, she's putting weight over that hip. I'd love to see this hip be affected by that a little bit more, right? So start to have it come up in Z, just to show that hip taking weight. It will help a lot. Same note about eye darts here. Follow the 80-20 rule. Get it 80% there. 80% and then 20% the rest of the way. I can't draw a percentage sign. Percent and then 100% here. I know 80 and 20 technically make 100, but I mean, technically what I'm trying to say is you're tweening of it. You're 80% of the pose and then 20% of the next pose and then 100%. If that makes any sense. Yes. Eyes here. Watch out for this. Really get this here. Just getting some more appealing shapes. Aya's default eyes are very odd in how they go like this, but her character design doesn't look appealing with that eye shape. Like I'm trying to think of the name, but in Spies in Disguise, there's the woman that's a spy along with the main guy. I cannot think of any names right now, but she has a character design that has very much like those types of eyes, and it works on her because that's her character design and it fits really well with her face. But with Aya, it's not the most appealing. Making it very rounding out her eyes helps her look the most appealing, I found. Or finding a straight against curve with her eyes. Like one of my favorite posing ideas to do with Aya is like having a straight with this. Like I love that look on Aya. It's really fun to get, you know, when she's like feeling like bored or upset or angry or just doesn't really care. It's fun to get that straight against curve. I'm not saying you should do that here because that's not really the vibe of what she's feeling, but that's just an example of how to pose Aya's eyes. I think is like the most appealing for her. But like here, I just kind of round it out so you're getting more of like this. You know, watch out for your eye direction. Like, feels a little odd here. You know, maybe I would even lower this top lid a little bit, round it out. You know, something like this. I might reverse this asymmetry actually, because like you want the audience to be looking a little bit over at him too, right? So alligator her face this way. Sounds like it's been a long time, right? Or I know, right? Whatever she's saying. Maybe something a little bit more like this, you know. Also, Sing Sketch just said, no pin pressure, Madison. You don't deserve that. I don't know why it does that to me. It's kind of weird. You know, I might try reversing this mouth in terms of like asymmetry. . right? Maybe this is too smiley when I'm drawing for like the scene and her character, but just in terms of like this, maybe just taking this control, moving over that way, just getting a little bit more asymmetry in the face will help.
Time, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would just really do like, no, I would do an appeal pass overall with Aya's eyes of just like rounding out those tops and not having this cut in like this. You know, just like rounding this out will help a ton. And also Aya has like these cheek razor controls. It's not the lower eyelid control, but it's like right here on the cheeks. Bring those down a little bit whenever she's looking down, because when we look down, our eyeball is literally pressing down on our lower lid, which is pressing down our cheeks, unless you're like smiling and looking down, but it's actually kind of hard to like smile and like engage your cheeks a lot and look all the way down. So move these eye cheek controls down just a little bit so that way we're getting a little bit like more of a rounded shape. You know, something a little bit more like that. I might, if you're doing that too, once you do that, you might actually lower the top lids a little bit just to kind of like even that out, because you're going to get more white at the bottom of the eye, so you might want to take less white on the tops. That way she just doesn't look like crazy eye.
Time, huh?
Yeah.
Time, huh?
Yeah. But once we're self-sufficient again, we can defend ourselves.
Why did nobody try until now?
Also, what's nice when she's saying here, time, make sure that the tongue, we see just a little bit of it, like hitting the top of the teeth, or the top of the roof of the mouth, like time, huh? Because she's also saying time, so it's going to be opening on that eye. And also, it's really hard to see with Aya without textures because her tongue is a gorgeous gray. So either going into the Aya's, you know, the hypershade and changing Aya's material of her tongue to a little bit more like red or pink will help a lot, because it also blends in perfectly with her mouth bag, so you can't really see what the tongue's doing. But
once we're self-sufficient again.
What? I'm just thinking about lip sync for Jules, so I'm gonna make some funny faces here in a minute. Just trying to think of what I would do for his lip sync. It's hard, it's a fast line.
Once we're self-sufficient again, we can defend ourselves.
So what I might do here, because that's a really difficult line, like self-sufficient, because he's doing like it just sounds like a lot, and it looks a little chattery to me right now, like when I just look at the lip sync in real time, it's like I'm seeing lots of shadowing and like stuff happening with self. So this is my self-sufficient. So I would almost treat unsufficient, I would almost treat it like a V shape. Like, it's still an F shape, technically, self-sufficient, but I wouldn't go into a full, like, I wouldn't bite, you know, the lip with the teeth or anything. I would do a little bit more of self-sufficient, like, just smaller shape. So that way you're not repeating that same shape big and it's not flashing. And I also, on this F shape, he goes into, it's almost like a she goes right into an S. So I wouldn't fully roll the lip back and go self-sufficient, because he's almost going self-sufficient. So it's almost like he's just on the S, self-sufficient. He's going from that F right into an S. So I would keep it more of like F, almost taking like an S shape, you know, where you're showing both you know, the top and the bottom teeth, like sa. And just, if you can see, I don't know if you can see me in the webcam, but basically like just taking that S shape and just having that lower lip kind of like go up a little bit and touch your front teeth, like self-sufficient. So if that makes sense, hopefully. It's kind of hard to draw. Yeah, it's kind of hard to draw this because also it's like really... Oh, what is happening? Something else is opening. Okay, there we go. Hopefully my stream's still running. I don't know, everything just went black for a minute. Okay, there we go. Yeah, but I can't draw it from this angle because it's really, really tiny, but hopefully you get the idea. Okay, cool, thanks. So like here I hear the S, right? So on this you want to see you want to see the teeth. You know, this is going to be a terrible drawing because it's letting me color 2 pixels at a time, but see the teeth on self. So you're almost going to have the same thing here. So you're going to see just those upper teeth, right? Because like this lower lip will come up self. I'm starting to hear the on self-sufficient here. So I think like this shape here, you know, maybe a little bit more open, is like 2 frames late. Yeah, so I think it's just like 2 frames late here.
Again. Self-sufficient again. We can defend ourselves. And
I'm missing the we on the we. Because it's kind of hard to say we. Like you need to have the mouth corners come in. That's what that whistling kind of like whoop like is what makes the W sound. So here it needs to be, you know, more like a... Again, hard to draw because of this resolution. I'm not sure what the resolution is, but you need something more like this, like whoop for the W. I'm just missing that shape. And then we. You know, the E, like E always I try to like engage a little bit more of the sneer. Not sneer, but like these macro controls that are like here to lift like these corners. Because on a we, you usually square off the mouth a little bit more. For R, you know, I might do something a little bit more like ooh, R for R.
And ourselves.
Why did nobody try until now?
So I'm making sure I'm not missing anything in the chat. Okay, cool.
Ourselves.
Why did nobody try until now?
And defend ourselves.
Why did nobody try until now?
Defend ourselves.
Same thing here. Why? And she doesn't really make a really pronounced W sound. It's more like I. Like she kind of like slurs through it. But I would still try to like bring in the mouth corners a little bit. Bring in the mouth corners a little bit more, and just to get a little bit more of like a read on that. Why? So just here, like I would try to get, you know, a little bit more of a... This is extreme and bad. Hold on, let me redraw. But, you know, something a little bit more like this on the Y. I'm missing the O on nobody here. Oh. So I'm missing like it's actually closing. Why did no? Because the N shape is made with the tongue hitting the roof of the mouth, and it's actually going to be opening on no. You're going to also open the jaw, so that jaw needs to rotate down like nobody. So I would simplify that so the jaw goes nobody. So instead of going right now, you're kind of going like why did nobody? I would have it go, why did nobody? So just you're closing on buddy, like nobody. And so by B, because you're going to have to get that closed to like have, the mouth closed for the B shape, nobody. And then it's just going to be the mouth, buddy. Because you don't really need a huge, just to simplify it, because you don't need a huge pop in the jaw.
Why did nobody try until now?
Eye shape, kind of same thing. Get the peak of the eye over here. Maybe try to get a little bit more worry brow. A little more asymmetry. Might try to get a little bit more of like asymmetry in the face here.
My brothers tried. My brothers tried. My brothers tried.
I might take away this.
Not now.
My brothers tried.
Right now, the jaw opens on Jules before anything comes out. And here he should be doing an M for my. So I might have him like, either his mouth is like. Like here you kind of have like his mouth just open a little bit. Keep his mouth closed here until he goes to my. So it'll just be my brother. So it'll be closed, but then you'll just have a little bit of compression before he goes to I for my. So I would get rid of like this opening because it just doesn't read clear since he's about to speak and all of a sudden he's like opening for like a slow time and then all of a sudden like popping it. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense and it reads kind of weird.
My brothers tried.
That's good there. My brothers tried. That feels good. And here at the end, like, I like where you're going in terms of like the idea of this, but I'm not entirely sure like exactly what you're trying to say that she is feeling because she just kind of looks halfway done with him and like really, but at the same time she looks sad, like she's maybe he said that his brother died, right? Like maybe, or my brother tried, then maybe, he died trying. Like I'm not sure, maybe she's feeling grief, maybe she's feeling sadness, is she having changed her heart? It's just kind of like a mixture of things on her face, right? So is she surprised by what he's saying? Is she angry about what he's saying, that he's trying to reconcile with her, but she doesn't want it? Or maybe she's having to change her heart. Like, I would just try to really feel like what the intention is for this. Yeah, okay, so you want to make her sad. So, like, what if... Let me listen one more time to just the whole audio, 'cause my brain is not working. I can't remember it.
I just always believed you would come. And you did.
Been a long time, huh?
Yeah. But once we're self-sufficient again, we can defend ourselves.
Why did nobody try until now?
My brothers tried. I just always believed you would come.
So this could just be me and the way I'm reading it, but I almost feel like him saying at the end, like, my brothers tried, which actually, I should probably actually look at him when he says that.
Why did nobody try until now?
My brothers tried.
He looks sad, right, when he says that. My brothers tried. Maybe this is him saying, like, oh, my brother just recently died because he was trying, the apocalypse is happening, whatever's going on. He's upset, and that maybe surprises her, and that's why she, like, actually turns around. And, maybe it can be a little bit more face of, like, oh, and, like, sad, but, like, taken back. I think that might be a more interesting read for the shot. So, you know, maybe her head is a bit more up. You know, maybe she's looking at him. I'm gonna try my best at a bad drawing here for you to see if I can kind of get what I'm feeling. This is probably gonna be too much, but maybe something like this, question mark, I'm not sure. You know, getting a little bit more sad eyes here, not sure. So it's kind of hard to see, but maybe that makes sense. Hopefully, I'm not sure if that reads or not. If you can see like what's going on, that nose is wild, and let's fix that. But yeah, maybe something just like more of this. Of, like she looks mournful or like surprised, or just mainly I'm seeing it like in the brows and in the eyes. Like instead of being like angry, like kind of like smoldering. Like if she could just be a little bit more like, oh, like sad eyes. Like they're kind of like dipped down and getting like this dip. This might be too much what I drew, but something like this might help just sell that feeling, or toning this down. Like if you don't want to go this sad with it, if she's still kind of mad at him, it just depends on like what the story is for you, right? Right, so maybe it's something more like this. I don't know. Try it out. See. Also, why did I draw her ear on the side of her head? But yeah, I might try something a little bit like that at the end, and just see, or just something a little bit more specific, even if you don't end up doing such sad eyes. Just something that's a little more, has a little bit more intent behind it, and is a clearer read. Which I kind of like the idea of her being sad and like, you know, surprised that he, you know, she's inferring that his brother died recently, or just something to make it a little bit more impactful at the end. But yeah, I think that would be my main notes for you. Do you have any other questions or anything? You can put it in the chat. Also, wow, we have a lot of people all of a sudden. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Cool. Yay, I'm glad I can help. It's a cool shot. You have lots of really nice like mechanics and movement, so just keep going. I'm excited to see what you do with the faces. So, all right, let me make sure I'm not missing anyone or anything. Okay. Give me 1 second while I make sure and open up stuff and make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, let me see. What time am I at here? Okay, 2 hours? That's not bad. I'm just checking notes. Talk amongst yourselves. That's the weird part about streaming. I'm like, oh, no one's talking. Like, oh, it's me. I'm the only one that has the ability to talk audibly, so I need to say something. Okay, cool shots. Let me open this. Let's see, this is Alex's work, question mark? Yes. Cool. Let me transition back over. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I don't think we're set up for subs yet because this is just our second week of streaming. So I think once we have to hit a certain like amount of stream hours for us to be able to set up subs and stuff like that, so. Okay, cool. We have a cool shot by Alex. I took a sneak peek at this a little bit earlier. It looked funny. Oh, cancel. No Unreal Engine, please. Thank you.
You beat people up and charge money?
Yeah. Sad, isn't it?
That's really your job?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
How much would you charge to beat up my friend Janet?
What? How much you got?
This
You
is
beat
funny.
people up and charge money?
Yeah. Sad, isn't it?
That's really your job?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
How much would you charge to beat up my friend Janet?
What? How much you got?
I like the shot. It's really funny. I like the composition and like that acting and stuff. Like it's a really fun shot. Cool. Oh, it's Alex. Oh, Alex wrote. Class 7 at Anim School. Okay, very basic. Good mouth shape. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Lip sync notes. I got you. Okay, let me take a look then, like just thinking about lip sync specifically.
You beat people up and charge money?
Yeah. Sad, isn't it?
That's really your job?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
How much would you charge to beat up my friend Janet?
What? How much you got?
You beat people up and charge money?
Yeah. Sad, isn't it?
That's really your job?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
How much would you charge to beat up my friend Janet?
What? How much you got?
Okay, for as of lip sync, I know you said they're rough.
You
So,
you
okay, here, perfect place and time and fun things to push this U. Also, why is this not closing? Okay, there we go. On the girl, U. Push the mouth this way, if I can draw it. Right? Push the mouth over here, so that way, like, I might even push it further than, like, what I drew here. And get it just, you know, like, perfect, like, no teeth, just you, like, really push it sideways. I think that would be fun for this. It's like pushing the mouth this way.
You beat people up.
Because also nice, you're going into... What's nice is you're going into a closed, like, you know, MVP shape. So it'd be funny, you beat, like, and then she could, like, pop it so the U comes down and it goes up into the beat, and then it kind of pops it. I'm starting, this is kind of hard because, like, I might steal a frame from the U on the U and instead make it the B. Because here I'm starting to hear the E and beat. And, like, I'm hearing the B sound, and whenever you hear a B is when you've already popped the B from open. So I know you said, like, lip sync's rough, so, like, timing might be rough and stuff, but just to, like, keep in mind as you go forward, like, I would definitely eat, like, this is when I would open the mouth for E.
You beat people up and charge money?
Yeah. Yeah.
You beat people up. That's really your job?
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
So one thing I might do with her, like, she said, you beat people up and charge money? And then she's like, and that's your job? Could you beat up my friend Jan? Like, when she says that at the end,
No.
like, here, this changed. No way. Like, then she's like, oh, this is cool, right? So then she's, like, smiling through her lip sync.
People up.
But, so here, you beat people up. Like, I want her almost to be, like, more square mouth shapes, like, not as smiley. Or, like, eat this for, like, beat people up. The E. Also, I have a bug in here. It's driving me nuts. But, this, I would, like, square this off like crazy. You know, for your E sound here. So for this, for the E, I would try to, like, square it off. Maybe get it a little bit more to the side. because this would go good from like the U beat, basically like the way the mouth is going. Think of like the arc. Obviously you don't want the mouth to feel too swimmy, but the cool thing is about it being a personal shot is you get to dictate what the style is. And do you want like really squishy mouth shapes, or do you want it to be a little bit more stylistically natural? Or that's what's kind of fun, and you can kind of decide how pushed it is. So if you want to, you can make it super pushed and go crazy, but if you don't want to, if you want to remain a little bit more stylistically, there's a word for it, I can't think, naturalistic, that's the word, do that, but it just depends, just the option. For puh on people, maybe something like that for people, a little more asymmetry. Do you mean having the corners mostly low? Yeah. I feel you. Lip sync is a beast. Yeah, so basically like not having her smile, like having them like the mouth corners lower and squaring off the shapes a little bit more instead of, you know, because basically like this, right? Oh, that was a terrible mouth shape. But basically I'm saying like this for a shape, for like a E, right? Instead of this for a shape for an E. These are both E mouth shapes, but just basically I'm saying, yeah, like more sneer and stuff for this one. And so these are both E mouth shapes, but this is the one you should go for the first part of your shot, I think, and then like this is the one that you go for in your second part of your shot. So same mouth shapes, but it's basically just corners. Like jaw, your Muppet, like someone, I forget who explained this to me. I heard this from Daniel, but it was from someone else, from a mentor he had, I think. But basically, like, mouth corners are for expression, your middle of your mouth, lips, are for phonemes, and then your jaw is for basic talking. Of like, because you can get about 80% of your lip sync just from your jaw pass, and then mouth corners are just there for expression. So basically anything, any mouth shape that you have in the middle of like your lips, that's going to be where your phonemes are at, and that's going to stay relatively the same, and then your mouth corners are just going to be for expression. So that's something to keep in mind, like as you try to change expressions.
You beat people up.
So like same thing here, I like instead of the smile, I would just, you know, same thing for E. For this, I might try to get, for funsies, maybe a little bit more like this for people. Like this is her lip. And then here. I would try to get more of this, like real round, like pull up. Nice tongue. And I might reverse the asymmetry here. Like I like the mouth you have, but I try to keep it to one side. You beat people up. Like she's kind of keeping this scrunched, right? You're alligatoring this because you want all the focus to be screen left.
And charge money?
Yeah.
People up. And charge people up. You beat people up and charge money? Pull up. Pull up. And
then I also think you could really close the jaw quickly on people up, because she's like almost going pop. Like it's closing pretty quick, and right now it feels a little soft compared to the dialogue that I'm hearing. So, like I'm almost hearing it here-ish. I would also love if you could talk here about what you do to offset when you close the mouth to have good connection between shapes. Yeah, that could be something that would be interesting to maybe do a demo. Like, well, I'll make a note of that, of maybe like I just sit here and I animate, you know, a character from like a 3/4 view just doing lip sync and show you like how I offset. That could maybe be a demo that I do one day, because that is kind of like in depth in terms of if I'm really polishing it, which is something I'm not doing for work right now because we're in crunch and trying to get stuff in. out, so I'm doing polish like that is super valuable, and that's not something I learned until honestly like this year of like how to really polish and how to offset mouth corners, offsetting like the TY and TX in the mouth to arc it. For specifically offsetting stuff, like having a face cam is like my best friend and tracking arcs just to make sure that, because I find like the mouth corners and tracking the arcs of the corners is what makes or breaks that feeling of like connectivity in your shapes. There's also stuff, Daniel would be really good too about that, and like Cynthia has really good mouth shapes too, in terms of like getting the offset even between like the lips over the teeth. Like that makes a huge difference. So that may be something we can do like a demo on in the next few weeks just to show, because that's something that I haven't, like going through school, I never really had that explained to me, especially like how to polish things. So yes, Sin wrote it down, but that would be a cool demo to do. So maybe that's something we'll do in the future, because I would find that useful. I want to hear what Sin has to say about it. I want to know all the secrets.
Pull up and charge money. And charge. And
I might try to get a little something more like this for and. Here I'm starting to hear that charge on that CH on charge, which you're going to want to get, you know, a more shape a little bit more like this, showing the teeth. So here I'm hearing the CH. This is still CH. Oops. I'm starting to hear her go into that R. Char. It's like a AHR almost. Char. So I feel like this shape, like charge, is like 3 frames late. Charge, and maybe I wouldn't go as wide with this. Maybe like, or maybe I would, but just like square off this bottom. I think that would be fun. Something like this. Really get that graphic tongue for charge. And you know what? I would probably do that on 71. Charge. Because R and G on charge needs to happen like at the same time, and that's just going to happen in the mouth. So you need to have like the rotate of the jaw closed. Charge. So R is like the R, charge, and then like here, I want to see it like already starting to get closed. Right, you're still gonna have like some space between the teeth, but like you could really pop that wide lip sync on the arch. Also, this rig is so cute. I want to animate her so bad. Charge, you know, maybe it's even more, honestly, like closed than this. Oh yeah, like what Danish Kelt was saying, having cheeks and the nose, I also have a trick for that, which is my best friend, and you will never animate cheeks and noses ever again. But basically, I copy curves like insane. When I get into polish, I will copy curves from the jaw to everything, or the mouth corners. So like for the jaw, you take, and this is once you get into polish, obviously, but yeah, basically you'll take like your jaw, rotate X or translate Y, whatever opens your jaw. You'll take that curve, clean it up, make it beautiful, make it perfect, and then you take it and copy it to the squash and stretch, right? Control, scale it down, offset it by a few frames. Then you can even take it to the cheeks, upper cheeks, lower cheeks. I've even taken it and put it to squint. When I get into insane polish, I actually take the jaw and I copy it to the main eyelid mover controls to get up and down with the eye mask. Like I'll copy it to the top of the head, very slight. Like you can get into that. Cheeks and nose is the biggest thing. You can copy it to like the TY of the main nose. Take the mouth corners, copy the translate X to the in and out of the nose, each mouth corner, and then copy the translate Y to the up and down of the nose. Like, oh, makes it so nice. I get so excited talking about polish because it's like my favorite thing to do, and I haven't gotten to do it lately, but yeah, it's really fun. That's what starts to make things feel so organic and like alive. So same thing here, just like really favoring one side will be nice. Like just taking this same mouth shape and just cutting in on that corner. Yeah, copy paste is amazing. It's super useful. I don't think me, Sin, or Daniel knew about that until after school and started working along people and saw people doing it. It's super useful. Again, always fun to like for money. It'd be fun to like make it a little bit more asymmetrical, right? Still a M shape. I might really compress it for funsies. I would really get this like stupidly tiny of like a ooh shape. Money. I lied. I did lie. Sometimes I do. I would maybe get a little bit more like in between. These also might be too. I've never really worked with this character before, so some of these mouth expressions I might be doing is like, that's no. I can't do that on this rig. So if I do any of those, just discard them because I've never worked with her before, so I'm not sure what her limitations are. But you can take the essence of most of these and kind of see what I mean. And then I'd go into like a wider, basically what you have here, but just like, just really getting some graphic. Like you have such fun posing. I love the idea. Of the shot. It's just like getting some really graphic mouth shapes. I think will be the piece de resistance on this because it's so fun. And it's like a sitting down talking shot. The acting's there. It's just about getting those really graphic shapes. I think will be fun on that shot. And like my favorite thing I mentioned, I think last stream of getting mouth shapes is looking at like model sheets, the old 2D, 9 old men at Disney days, and seeing what they did for model sheets, like where they put the tongue or where they just ridiculously cheated the mouth shapes, but how good it looks because they're so crafted specifically to each pose because they had to worry about where to put the tongue, right? A lot of times tongues get forgotten because it's like, oh, it's just there. It's fine, it just needs to be in the mouth. When I render it, you're probably not going to see it that much anyways, but one of my mentors, Amanda Zima, when I took Kyosha, like she made that so apparent to me because I was doing a shot with lots of lip sync and it was all black and white, but the girl just had bright red lipstick. So you kind of had to pay attention to your lip sync. You couldn't really fake anything because that was kind of the center point of the shot. And she would do so many drawovers of like really graphic shapes, and it completely changed the way that I look at lip sync now because you can cheat a lot. And the cool thing about lip sync too that you don't really realize when you're first starting out, or like even when you've done it for a while, is you can cheat things a lot because also you're not living in poses and transitioning through large amounts of frameage. You know, you're going from this pose, you're holding a pose for 1 or 2 frames, so you can almost treat it like you're drawing each frame. And that's kind of how I like to approach lip sync. And a lot of times when I'm polishing a shot to feature level, like I am keying on my poses, and I am sculpting and crafting and using JS Anim Polish plugins and sculpting each poses and really trying to get as graphic as I can, because especially in shots like this where that's the center, like focal point of your shot of like them talking, it's really nice. What would be fun too about getting this kind of shape is you'll be able to see that tongue, and then on money, like you'll be able to see that tongue come up and really like have that end read. You know, money, you'll have to. I love this shape. This is really cool. I love this. Here. Also, sorry, I'm kind of like 2D animating these lips, these lip mouth shapes for you, but hopefully they help. I don't know. I think you could even get into that grimace earlier. You know, and then this tongue's gonna be coming up. This is a bad tongue drawing, but you know, it will start hitting the roof of the mouth. I'm just drawing it crazy so that way you can see. Actually, that works, I think.
Money?
Yeah.
Yeah, that works.
And charge money?
Yeah.
And charge money?
Yeah.
Yep.
Charge money?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I'd also try to give her just like a little more personality in her mouth when she's just sitting there, like, you know, maybe she's like this, right? Maybe she's like, like just make some asymmetry, because right now she almost feels like character default with like, you know, straight mouth.
That isn't it?
That's really your job.
That's good. You're having like the tongue come out here. This is always hard when you're having like that kind of like this head angle of where you're seeing those bottom teeth be round. My advice is to move them wherever you need. It doesn't make that much difference when your shot's going to be rendered and lit and rendered, because it's going to be really dark in there anyways, so a lot of times you leave the teeth alone. But if you're play blasting this and you know it's not going to be rendered, you want it to look nice in your reel. Some things that you can choose to do, it's not necessary, but you can choose to like really push and move the teeth where you want, just to kind of like mimic the idea of lighting, of like what it would show up graphically. So, you know, maybe you hide these teeth a little bit. Well, it depends on like what, you know, you might do a little thing like this. Actually, I would want to redo that, but it's gone forever now. I mean, if there's a way you can, like, this is just an idea, and you don't have to do it. It's not wrong. It just would be interesting maybe to, like, fake this out a little bit and cheat it. I know, like, on one of my shots I was talking about with, like, the girl with the red lipstick, like, at one point I have her at an angle like this, and she's, like, standing, but her head's kind of down like this, and she says you and I was just getting, like, mouth. Like, it just was, like, tongue, you know? And my mentor Amanda, she told me, she was like, well, just move it. And she drew it for me, and like I did it, and if you looked at it in perspective, it was crazy. And like the tongue was everywhere, and like if you looked at it from a normal head-on view, the tongue looked like it was completely down in the mouth, like in the throat, and then the teeth were like sideways, but it looked nice in the play blast. So and so I cheat the tongue a lot and always put it on one side of the mouth or the other. And here I'm starting to hear that S, not completely, but I'd start getting into like a S shape by like here, definitely, you know. You know, here you just get into a S. Maybe not as wide here, maybe something, you know. I like this. I think you could even push it more of like, you know, maybe something like that. Oh yeah, all good. Let's see, 2 hours and 25 minutes. I have time. I might be able to look. I'll give you some feedback though, for sure. I think you're like the last one that sent me anything, so. You know, here like is another place that you could possibly start going to the other side, right? Your job. Yeah, I would definitely go like you have like the right idea here. I like this, so maybe you could even like go job.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
You know, for a way, I'd always try to favor one side or the other, you know. Way.
Yeah.
I love this. This is fun. I try to get some sharp edges, you know, in her mouth at times. Like right now, like there's lots of like just round. It feels very round. You know, I feel like maybe you could get, you know, cutting in here. Yeah, that's a little too even, but hopefully we can get the idea. You know, make sure you're also seeing the tongue somewhere. On how much, I want to see like the mouth go, how, like go in. You know, you could do something maybe even like this. Yeah. I'm starting to hear the ch, so just maybe get like a little more into that, you know. So the upcoming part of the shot was so tight you had trouble. Okay, with her?
How much would you charge to beat up my friend Janet?
No, I see
What?
what you mean.
How much would you charge to beat up my friend Janet?
What?
How much would you charge charged to beat him, charged to beat him, charged to beat
Here, I think like this E's kind of throwing me off. You know, maybe you close it a little bit, and maybe here she's like a little bored there down because she's like beat up my friend Janet because she's like, I don't like her. So maybe like keeping these mouth corners in a little bit, so because you're going to beat up my friend. It's like be so like you have to really go in for those. So I would try to avoid going out so far in your mouth corners for your E and your vowels. Like even here, I don't think I would drop this jaw as much. Like, you know, maybe something like that. You know, even this, you could probably bring in those mouth corners a bit more.
Charged to beat up my friend Janet.
What?
This would be a fun place to do, like, you know, for Janet.
What?
How much you got?
You beat people up and charge money?
Yeah. Sad, isn't it?
That's really your job?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
How much would you charge to beat up my friend Janet?
Yeah, I think that would be like my notes on lip sync for her. And I think this part here, also sun is coming in. I might have to close my window in a minute. But
How much would you charge to beat up my friend Janet?
keeping basically the biggest thing I'm seeing is flashing is not.
How much would you charge to beat up my friend Janet?
I think your jaw pass works there. I think for me, what's like feeling a little bit chattery is the in and out of the mouth corners because you're going in and out because you have a lot of like, you know, MBs and Ps and Fs in that. So I would just try to keep your shapes in between those, like your vowels and all that. Like keep them a little bit closer in so that way you're not seeing that big movement in your mouth corners going in and out a bunch. I think that will help a lot. And I think that's the main thing that's feeling chattery because I'm feeling a lot of chatter like here and here. So yeah, hopefully that helps. I know I just literally gave you lip sync notes on one girl, but you said that was something that you were struggling with. So hopefully that gives you some direction of like where I would take it, of like different mouth shapes, ways that you can kind of simplify things. But I love the shot. I want to see it again. I want to see it when it's finished. So come back. But yeah, awesome. Do you have any questions or anything? Let me check chat while I wait to see if you had anything before I close it out. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, come back. It just depends week to week who has time to be able to do extra feedback. But yeah, so if you come, you never know. You might be able to look at it. Awesome. Cool. So next we have this one by Danish Celt. And I'll give you, I am running a little bit late on time, so I won't be able to give like super in-depth feedback, but I'll give you some general notes of like stuff that I see. Notes. Oh, nice. Cool. Yeah, this is feeling really good. Sarge has a lot of weight to him. Also, give me 1 second. I'm going to try to put down my blinds because I can't see my monitor very well right now. Okay, there we go. I'm squishing a plant on the windowsill, but it should be fine. Okay, cool. Yes, is there anything specifically you wanted me to take a look at, or just kind of general notes? I know the sun's saying, go get dinner, Madison. What are you doing? Let me make sure. Just general notes? Cool. Okay, let me take a look. and see what I would say. Overall, his like weight is feeling pretty good. I feel ya. You're shot blind. I'd watch a little bit like the spacing in his cog here. Like I'm just kind of watching it now. It feels like he kind of gets stuck here and that leg is going pretty far back. And then he just kind of swims through this. I would just try to make sure that like, I know he's about to take another step, but I'd like to see him go a little bit more over that screen left leg. Yeah, it's hard because he is picking up this leg, but in order, he's, you know, lots of metal, hunk of metal, heavy boy, so you want him to go over this leg a little bit more, just to have like a little bit of an antic before he goes over this way. So, you know, basically he'll still be like about here and be still putting this foot down. And you're gonna have a few frames of like him settling. This is too much what I just drew, but like, you know, you're gonna have the essence of that. It won't be that exactly, but. I might, like, after, like, Alien Boy pierces his chest. I might take out this frame of him. Just so that way it's, like, impactful, like, it's boom, like it hits. Because right now it just feels a little bit soft, so I'm just trying to think of a way to... You know, it's like it hits, and then all of a sudden he's here. I think might help. Yeah, so just not easing out of it, just kind of going like a little more impactful that way. Because like if this guy, this alien predator guy is piercing through all this metal, that's got to be a lot of force behind him. So I want to feel that. I want to feel like that, like, you know, it hits and like you really feel like it's pierced through the metal. Yeah. Honestly, I don't have too many notes on this. It's feeling pretty good. I might try to get... Sarge is a hard one because he's really wide. So you can't have too much like side-to-side motion. Otherwise, he starts to feel like wobbly and kind of too much. So... but I might try to get him just over a little bit more so he's like here when he takes, especially just this first step. Yes, he is. And then I want the transition to when he hits his next extreme to be faster. Like he's here and then boom, boom. You know, it's about going faster into your extremes a little bit, I think. Yeah. So weight shift and like transact just a bit faster. You know, once he hits here, it's like boom, 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 like pretty quick. Like this feels good right here to me. You feel that, like how we, like if every, I think step just needs to feel like this one. Whatever you did here, it feels really good. With like the translate X on the boom, like you can feel it come down and like it comes over. It feels really nice. And like he could actually come over here like a little, like 1 or 2 frames. Oops. Like 3 frames more screen right on Transx. And like here you have a good arc with like the tip of the gun, but just I would go through and do an arc pass on that tip of it. Like here right now, like it's kind of going like down, over, then over, which I think that could be simplified. Of like, maybe you could go down, up, or something like that. Boom, boom. Just so that way it doesn't feel like it's like jittering. It just feels a little jittery to me. It's the fun of having props that have like a long end on them that you have to like just go into arc tracking craziness and then realize you broke 12 other things that's connected to it. Arms, elbows, all the fun things. But yeah, I think that would be my main notes for you. Like everything else is pretty solid and you're really far along with the shot. Let me take a quick look at Alien Boy. I like the little movement that you have with him after he hits with his tail. Well, one thing, you know what? Okay. One thing I might do, just as like a general note to try, it's just objective, is I might try to get a little bit more of like, this is too much even, but just showing, I can't draw, showing that spear of his tail like in silhouette a little bit more. Because right now it's kind of like straight on towards camera almost. Like I'd like to see a little bit more profile. Almost like this. You know, obviously I've drew it way too close, but tail, no tail. But it could be nice just to get like just through this one section, just to be able to see it a little bit clearer. But yeah, I think that'd be my main note, just kind of like a general overview of stuff. But oh, fun. FK tail, my goodness. Oh, I don't like that. It has no IK on it. Ah. That would be a headache. Manageable, but a headache. But yeah, awesome. Good work. I really love the weight that like Sarge has. I think just like finessing that like side to side motion will help a lot and just making it feel even like more solid and real. So yeah, I think, let's see. It's been almost 3 hours. Oh wow, time flies. But yeah, it's cool. I'm glad I was able to give a little extra feedback today. That was fun. So I'm glad you guys like the channel box. It's been fun to be able to give feedback again. It's been so long since I've been able to give feedback to people. Thank you, Sid. It's not too bad. I mean, this isn't as bad as the 6-hour, 7-hour dailies I used to do at AM. So on a Friday night. So this is nothing. So yeah, it was cool to be able to see everyone's work, and hopefully at some other point in the future I'll be able to look at more people's work and not just people in the feedback program. So always keep an eye out. Sin just posted amazingly all of our Discord and usernames for everything, so make sure to follow everyone. And we post pretty regularly on the Discord of like updates of when we're live and all that, and also on Instagram, so make sure to follow so that way you can see when we're going live and possibly get some extra feedback. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone. And this will be recorded, so if anyone wants to go back and watch anything or watch me make really ridiculous mouth shapes and streaming to the whole internet, you're welcome to. But yeah, so it's also will be on YouTube as well. We have a YouTube channel that we keep all the streams archived on, because I think Twitch only saves them for a certain amount of time before they delete them. So if you're not seeing it on Twitch, you can go to YouTube and see it. But yeah, I'm glad everyone enjoyed it, and thank you so much, and see you next time. See you tomorrow for we're having Ray Ross on for an interview. So everyone show up tomorrow. Send your questions to us on the Discord, or Sin, I think, has been collecting them all on Instagram. So Ray's amazing, fantastic mentor, ridiculously good animator. So yes, please tune in tomorrow to hear what he has to say and be able to get some questions answered. So, and that's at 1 p.m. PST tomorrow. So all right, everyone, I am signing off. Goodbye.